Hello.
Hi, Diane.
Hi. Let's go ahead and we're asking everybody to go ahead and mute, and we're going and recording. So thank you so much. That's in the lower left corner of your screen. Thank you so much. We're very excited for everybody to be here for heart-centered leadership in a changing world. Today we're going to be discussing key tools to stay sane, centered, and move forward. My name is Diane Hayworth. I am a heart-centered success coach, a speaker, an author. I'm the founder of the Be Love Principles, and I am thrilled to welcome my co-presenter, who I hope can talk here, and that is Sherry. She is not only a good friend of mine, she is a brilliant leadership coach. She's a fantastic business strategist, and we talk all the time. What we're doing today is inviting you to listen into our conversation. Sherry, good morning, my friend. I'm so glad we're here.
Good morning, Diane, and thank you so much for agreeing to partner on this little part. We just so you guys all know, Diane and I were on a conversation last Friday, just chatting along, and she's like, "Hey, we should do something." So here you have it, put together pretty last minute, and we're so grateful for all of you to be joining us this morning, and for all of you who are listening to the recording, so happy to have you join us. So thanks so much.
We're thrilled. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's set the stage for a few minutes, and then what we're going to do is actually address each of those three areas that we talked about. Heart-centered success is when your action, at least this is my definition, it's when your actions are fueled by your purpose and your passion. This is vital to being, I think, really satisfied at a soul level. Most of us do wonderful things in the world. We can have financial success in other areas, recognition, but that real soul satisfying success comes from really being fueled by your passion and your purpose. Sherry, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's a terrific definition, Diane, and I know you and I first started talking about this last year on your TV show, which is all around heart-centered success. And if you haven't seen Diane's TV show, go to her YouTube site and check it all out because it's great. And I don't mean to run an ad for you here, Diane, but there's really some rich content. You've interviewed so many interesting people. And I was honored to be on there a few times, and we started talking about heart-centered leadership with respect to success in general. And that was really the genesis of the live workshop that we ran back in September. So this is now kind of an analog to that one. And now we're here in changing times. And we certainly have some thoughts on that. And we'd love to hear your thoughts at the end of this call as well, so we can open for discussion.
Great. Thank you. I did want to start with a quote, and this is one of my mentors, somebody that I have followed. I've studied with him. His name is Dr. Robert Holden. He's actually a leadership and success coach himself. He teaches and works with companies all over the world. And he has a beautiful quote from his book called Authentic Success that I love. And Sherry and I thought it would be really appropriate to kick this off with this quote. Leadership is everyone's business. The old prayer was, "Dear God, send us a leader." The new prayer is, "Dear God, help me to be a leader." And that's really what it's all about. Whether you're leading yourself, your family, your organization, we're all being asked to step up and lead in a different way. We happen to think that there's a lot of opportunity here. And even though the reason we're doing this now is because of the challenges the world is currently in, really, if you think about it, every morning when you wake up, you have awoken to a different world. It's changed from the day before. Right now, it's pretty dramatic, and we're seeing things worldwide, but when we are on the other side of this health crisis, you are still going to be constantly reinventing yourself, as our friend Sherry teaches us, in how to adapt to changing environments. So what we're going to talk about today is going to help you, we think, not only now, but in the future. So we are already recording. Sherry, anything you want to add before we talk about how to stay sane?
I think that's good, Diane. I think we just jump right in.
Good. So first thing we wanted to talk about is how to stay sane. And that's, of course, relative to what you think that means. From my perspective, it has to do with how do we balance our emotions? How do we greet the feelings that we're feeling right now? And to my mind, this is all about recognizing we are living in the land of and. And that means to me, we can be fearful and trust that things are going to be different and that we can be a part in making things different. We can be concerned about our businesses, and we can decide it's our time to step up and explore different ways and how to reinvent ourselves. Sherry, what do you think about the and process, or the concept rather?
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And, as someone who always works in this constant state of change with all of my clients, because life is dynamic, work is dynamic, now we have some pretty additional massive stressors that we don't really have control over. But really, every moment you can reinvent yourself from moment to moment, as long as you're mindful and thoughtful and calm, right? So it's an intentional process. And around this concept of and, it's around polarity management, really. Typically what we like to think about is either or. I can either do this or I can do that. There's certain consequences. If I do this, then this is going to happen. But what we want to start to do is really get into this place of how can we look at the and. You can feel the fear, and you can actually move forward. You can listen to the news, get freaked out, and take precautions, and also continue to grow your business, grow your career, take on new projects, add more value to the community, whatever it is that's important to you. So it's really about embracing the and getting yourself in a position where you can believe that and live into that and, so that you can continue to produce and you can continue to add value to the world in the way that only you can. And I just want to note on the chat, yes, Kim, we will add the quote. We may not add it right now, but we'll add the quote. Certainly at some point you'll have that as well. And if anyone, just a quick reminder, whoever's not on mute, if you can just mute your phone, that would be great, so we make sure that we have a nice clear line for the conversation. So those are just a couple of thoughts on the and, managing those perceived polarities around this concept of either or what if I could have both? What would it look like? What are some possibilities of maybe even a little bit of this, maybe not all of it, but what's possible here? And that starts opening a whole new way of thinking in your mind.
So all of those are great points. And I hope you all see that anytime, particularly now, it doesn't have to be either or. Live in the land of and you are going to be able to reinvent in ways that you never imagined. Second thing we wanted to offer in this particular part of the talk is this is a time to remember what makes you who you are. What is it that helps you feel grounded and yourself? For me, it's staying true to my spiritual practice. This is the time that I am relying on my meditation, on my journaling, on reading my own text, on my own spiritual text, the things that my bedrock for my business. Sherry, we talked about what helps you remember who you are.
Yeah, and that's funny because I never even thought of it like that. We just talked a little bit yesterday, Diane and I did, and I said, so what do you mean by centered? I have this idea of centered. What do you think centered means? And everybody has their own idea of that. And she says, oh, it's about being true to who you are. Like you just did that video the other day out in the rain in your little hat in the middle of the field. She says, that's who you are. And I thought, oh, so that made me think in this context, I connect to nature. That's my thing. I mean, any of you guys have been following me, you see the horses, you see the dogs, you see my cats now, you're seeing me sit out at the wetland. Many of you guys have joined me out at the wetland and with the horses, and thank you for that. So awesome. But it's really about finding that peace, your inner peace. And for me, that's about connecting with something bigger than myself. And the way for me to do that, the easiest way is just step outside and look at the trees. And it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be here on the farm. When I'm on travel, I will just go hug a tree There happens to be a tree. If there's not a tree, I'll find some grass. There's always a patch of grass, even in, the biggest cities. There's a little tiny patch. Find that thing that's green, and that fuels me. There's something about that that allows me to have that deep connection.
So that's an important word that Sherry just used. What is fueling you? Now, we mean, at least I'm talking about, in addition to your work, your passion. For some people, it's music. Some people are finding that sane space in music. Maybe it's in their yoga practice. Whatever it is that brings you not only that feeling of being connected to something bigger than you, but brings you peace and joy right now. That's what we're talking about. Now, in addition to that, we wanted to share a couple practices that help us personally. And the first practice that I want to share is one that was pioneered by the Heart Math Institute. I know a lot of my friends here are going to remember me speaking about this before. It's called the heart-brain coherence technique. And what's great is you're going to be able to go back on this recording and check this out. You can Google heart-brain coherence. There is a wonderful scientist named Greg Braden who has a great, I think it's a 10-minute clip on YouTube about this. But in essence, what I want you to do is remember that your heart, your physical heart, has intelligent thinking cells, just like your gut does. So you have heart, head, and gut intelligence centers, right? When we're under stress, when there's change, when there's things going on, often we will have thoughts in our head that are a little different than what's going on in our heart. So you've experienced this. You will be going through perhaps I should do this, I need to do this, and then you're just be feeling this pull in your heart about, this is what I need to do. And you're not in coherence. So what this technique does is help you really access that deep inner wisdom that really resides in your heart and allows your brain to be in coherence so your brain can actually execute the wisdom of your heart. Does that make sense? What we're going to do is do this for just a little few seconds, just so you get how powerful this is. So if you're not driving a car, and I assume you're not because we're all home, go ahead and shut your eyes, and you can put your feet on the floor if it's comfortable for you to do so. Again, if it's comfortable for you to do so, put your hand on your heart, maybe lightly touch it with a few fingertips. Just connect to that heart. What I'd like you to do is imagine that you can breathe in through the back of your heart and out through the front. Breathe in through the back and out through the front. This is helping us center in this part of the body. In through the back and out to the front. Now, as you breathe normally, I want you to bring up a moment in time where you felt deep, immense gratitude or appreciation. Just remember that time when you felt your heart open. Just allow your body to feel that. Feel your heart opening as you're remembering that precious time, whatever that is for you. And just relax into that even deeper. Feel that sensation in your heart now of opening. Breathe through that. Great. Now, when you're ready, you can let your arm drop comfortably back to your lap. You can take a nice breath in and you can open your eyes. So it's important for me to tell you that we are not scientists. Well, actually, Sherry is a scientist, but I'm not a scientist. We are not medical professionals. We're not therapists. But this technique has been proven to help with this heart-brain coherence. There is a chemical reaction that occurs. I mean, you can feel it in your heart when you're in that deep feeling of gratitude or appreciation. From the research I've seen, that can change your brain chemicals for up to 6 hours. So I know we have some technology people here on the call. So imagine that you're bringing two giant systems online at the same time. That's what we're doing. We're coordinating our heart and our brain. So I like to do this morning, noon, and night because, like, why wouldn't you? First of all, just why wouldn't you if you knew you could? So I really encourage you to incorporate this. What's nice is you can teach this to even children. You can teach it to anybody. As a matter of fact, I've got a clip on Facebook where I'm showing my 2.5-year-old grandson how to do this. It's easy, it's simple, and it's so effective. Sherry, what do you want to add? Share with us what helps you and keep sane and keep centered.
So yummy, Diane. Thank you. Yum, yum, yum. So here, you guys, you got to hear this. This is so cool, all right, because it's the perfect segue. So I'm in there breathing in my heart just now with all you guys. We're all breathing. We're picturing our whatever experience it is that we love and getting all yummy in the heart and breathing, right? Right outside my office here are my horses. The herd is right out there. And so as we're breathing, they're going, is that not the coolest thing? I mean, come on. So this is perfect. It's perfect segue. Thank you, herd. They're always giving me great information to the fact that this isn't just for you. We're stewarding our own chemistry, basically, right? Which you're talking about, Diane. So we're going out of this place of fear, which is cortisol and adrenaline and all kinds of chemicals. And those are great chemicals because fear has kept us safe for eons. However, when fear starts to run rampant or it's constant or chronic, it just starts to degrade our systems and we can't see the options that are available to us. So we really need to make sure that we're stewarding our own biochemistry, especially now, by doing the activity that Diane just suggested, other activities, because we want to switch the chemical cocktail in our body from the adrenaline and the cortisol and all those guys to put in the dopamine, the oxytocin, the serotonin, and juice it up, right? And be in that place. So you're retraining your brain, you're leading. This is all about leadership, about leading your own brain first. And when you get back to that place of peace and balance, then you're sharing it with everyone else, because you can't help but share it with everyone else, because a vibe like that, a vibration and energy, is a contagion. It's a positive contagion, and it can travel faster than any virus, and that's the beautiful thing. So you get feedback. We just got feedback from the herd, which made them relax, and they're with us. So we're in this place of kind of a neutral, peaceful place. And people feel it too. When you do that work yourself, on your own self, on a daily basis, regular throughout the day, your people around you, you become a safe place for them. And for folks who have worked with me, have heard me speak before, read the book, last book, Reinventing Greatness, talk a lot about building trust and being that safe place as a leader for yourself and for the others around you, whoever is in your world, your team, your community, your family, your animals. They all feel it. So we want to always be mindful of being a positive contagion, right? Sending out intentional kind of vibration that's going to help ourselves help others. And the other thing, I'm going to add a point here too. I know I'm on a little tear. We actually have this, Diane and I go off on stuff, and I love listening to her. I just listen to her. Yeah, she's like, stop talking. So it's like, oh, scratch my head or something. I'll stop here in a moment, but I'm on a roll, so hold on.
No.
So there's one more piece of this, because it's not about not feeling fear. It's not about masking fear or denying the fear. It's about feeling that fear and then seeing how fast you can come back to a place of homeostasis or balance. All right. It's just like when you work out, one of the most important metrics is not how far you ran or how much weight you lifted or, how flexible you are. It's how fast you can come back to a place of normal respiration rate and normal heart rate. Same thing is true with fear. We'll spike out, get up there. You're like, squirrel brain. Oh my God. And then you can pull yourself back. So it takes practice. Okay, I'm done. Thanks, Diane.
Yay. It takes, but because of your content, actually. And I hope you guys can see what a beautiful heart-centered leadership technique this is. Using your heart as a way to physically become the leader you want to be. So we're very passionate, as you can tell, about helping each other, supporting each other, and supporting all of you in doing this kind of work. And these are some techniques that we really recommend. As far as the centering part of our talk, Sherry and I, again, when we had our little talk yesterday, there was something we wanted to share with you and our thoughts on it that I thought was really just inspirational right now. I saw over the weekend in one of the news shows, I saw a doctor from, I believe she was from Mass General, and I wish I could remember exactly where I saw this, but she was talking obviously about the challenges in the healthcare system. And she said something so beautiful. She said, right now with the virus, we're talking about URIs, upper respiratory infections. She said, but leaders understand that URI stands for unite, reassure, and inspire. How fantastic is that? So this is exactly what we're doing today, is we're uniting people. Sherry and I are uniting ourselves as friends and helping support and talk each other through this. We've decided to share this with anybody who's interested, right? We're uniting this way. And I think it's important that we realize, even in a time of physical distancing, that doesn't have to mean social distancing. I think that's really important. Sherry, you had a post in social media this week where you were making sure when you went to the store that you were saying thank you to the store clerks, thank you to the people that are stocking the shelves. That is a way that we're uniting, and we're really uplifting some of the real heroes, I think. What do you think, Sherry?
Yeah, I agree. Such great points, Diane. And the thing about it too, in that post, the thing that was interesting for me was when I did share with them my gratitude, there was a disbelief at first. Everyone's still in that threat mode. So I'm just going to remind, if folks can just be sure to self-mute, just so we can keep the line pretty clear, that'd be great. Super helpful for the recording. So thank you for that. So the thing that was fascinating for me is there's so much threat around and there's so much fear around that it's hard for people to believe sometimes that something good can come through and to be open to receive the good that is being offered. So it took each one of those people at the grocery store, they kind of gave me a look. I'm wearing gloves, so I look like a threat, right? And I might have been 5.5 feet, maybe not quite 6 feet, because I was reaching in for the cheese, guys over here, and I forgot, that kind of thing. And so, now there's a threat spike. So they're no longer safe, but yet I'm saying something that's making them feel good. Well, they can't receive that until they get to a different place in their mind of, oh, she's not a threat. I'm okay. It's safe. Now I can receive, right? So this is a really important thing for all of us to be mindful of, the fact that the people around us might be in so much terror that even if you tell them they're doing good and all that, it may take them a couple of seconds to be able to receive that. And the same thing for you. So be sure that your heart is open enough that you can receive, because that's, again, that positive fuel which will increase your immunity, because all of those chemicals we just talked about before, those positive contagions and the vibration, that energy of love and peace, that boosts your immunity. And we want to be able to share that with others.
And in this spirit of uniting, not only I think it's important for us to be thanking and reaching out to others, we need to be confident in reaching out and asking for help ourselves. We need to be able to recognize when we need a little help and boost. That's how I think we're all going to love each other through this, quite frankly. And I think that it's going to be up and down for everybody, but I agree with Sherry 100%. Helping as much as you can with your energy, understanding how it affects the people around you, and asking when you need to reach out. Sherry, girl, I'll be calling you. Don't worry. I'll be calling. I'll have you screenshot me a picture of Puff, and I'll screenshot you a picture of my Rory, and we'll share that. It goes both ways. Uniting is not just you. It's receiving, just like Sherry said. We're here to give and receive. That's part of the uniting, I think. So does that make sense with everybody? So the second part of that URI was reassure. Now, I feel it's really important to be honest, not only with our clients, our family, our business partners, but to be honest with ourselves. I think that's part of being authentic, but I also think it's really important while you recognize we are in uncharted waters, however you define that I can, in all honesty and authenticity, share that I know one day the world is going to be different. It's going to be different. And we've already learned how to connect differently through technology. And there's going to be other ways that we learn to connect. Going back to our unity, I just saw the sweetest thing where there's some, I don't know where they are, but there are some neighbors that are coming out at a particular time of the morning in their cul-de-sac. So they're all at the end of their driveways and they're exercising together. How cool is that? They're uniting and they're reassuring each other that we are still together as a neighborhood and we're going to get through this. Sherry, what do you think about that? What do you have to add?
It's such a beautiful, beautiful picture, just visualizing the folks, that connectedness. I mean, that's really what we're talking about, right? So the unity and the reassurance piece, it goes, you have to reassure yourself first, and you also have to unite yourself first. Yeah. So make sure that you're all in, yourself is all aligned, and you don't have little bits and pieces of you scattered all over the place. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? There's a little piece of Sherry that was left over from the morning, and there's Sherry jumping forward into the future meeting for the afternoon. So what we want to do is get that all aligned, because when you're aligned, you're in full power. And the alignment I'm talking about there is get present, right? Get present. Whatever that means for you, do it. And let me tell you what, one of the things that I do when I start getting in the brain that's all over the place, especially when I get a fear trigger, is I have to remind myself, okay, what is true now? Right now. You know, some people will say, be here now. And that's great. And I'll be here now, but I'm still, I'm kind of pinging. So I'm not totally be here now. I'm kind of not so much. So, but when I ask myself, what is true now? It's a leadership question for your brain. Your brain then goes on this journey of discovery, which it loves tasks. My brain loves a task. So I have to give it little tasks. I'm like a border collie in a former life or something. So now my brain's going to go chase down what is true now. What is true now? Oh my gosh, I have an amazing book of clients. Thank you. Love my people, love my business, love my colleagues, incredible people here on this call this morning, sharing time and space. So grateful for that. I can feel your love even if I can't see your face. Love transcends the physical boundary, as Diane was alluding to. You know, when you talk to someone on the phone across the world without even seeing their face, remember those days? You just hear them. You can feel that vibration and that energy. It's like they're sitting right there with you. So we want to be very mindful of what is true right now. Right now, knock wood, I feel pretty good. You know, I'm able to walk around. I can breathe the air. Things are okay. Out there for other people might be very frightening. But what is true for me right now is it's good. It's pretty good. It's actually more than good. It's pretty great right now to be here with all of you guys. Does that help, folks?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's very reassuring. The fact that we do live in a time that we can connect, even if it's not the way we used to. When we were talking about Sherry and nature, that's reassuring. you go outside. I know people are at different parts of the world that are going to be looking at this recording, but here in Virginia, the birds are out, the animals are moving around. Nature is balancing. Nature knows what to do. The earth knows how to continue. To me, that's really very reassuring. And that is a way that I can know, okay, what's present for me right now. I love your idea of the question, Sherry, although I have to say I'm a little distracted thinking of your head on a border collie body. Border collie body. But if you guys missed that, go back to the recording. One of the questions that I love to ask is, what does love look like now? And to me, it looks like everybody here. Looks like my friend and I offering this from our heart. Looks like you guys being here. It looks like us having the capability of sharing this for those that weren't able to be here. There is a lot of love that's being presented to me right now. And that's another question that I would really encourage you to explore. So that
Diane, can I jump in for a sec?
Do.
Hold on. Getting potential spam on my phone. Hang on, throw it over there. Okay. So I love the what does love look like, and being able to recognize what love looks like, right? So some folks are a little about the love thing. It sounds like, it seems cheesy. Well, so not, but sometimes if you can't quite get to that love place, it's kind of like, what feels good? So let me just give you an example of something that just happened, this call aside, which is fabulous. Kimmy and I, Kim Weir here, hello Kim. We just did a book club virtual thing earlier this week with all of her people, and there was so much love on that line. It was so fun. I only knew 2 of them. There were people there from all over her network, which thank you, Kim, for that. But we're connecting deeply around things that we all care about, like we are today. And I'll give you another example of incredible love. So my friend Kathy Gregory, I don't think is on right here, she is reinventing herself. She's a fitness trainer, dog walker, all kinds of stuff, and a friend of mine. She's a brilliant artist. And so here's an example of love. I had asked her, because she's so great, she did this portrait of Noble for me, but we weren't able to connect because of this, isolation thing. So we decided to do a covert meeting at the grocery store in the rain one day, and she brought this bag, and she's full of bags. She didn't have gloves, but she had bags on her arms and bags, and looked like a little mummy girl. And she's like, give me the thing, we're making this transaction. And not only did she give me a piece of her heart with this beautiful, beautiful illustration, but she also gifted me another portrait of Lemon Squeezy. And let me just grab this one.
Oh, how gorgeous is that?
You guys haven't seen this. I'm just sharing with you in the spirit of love. I mean, this is the kind of work that she does to just capture, and she's terrified just like everyone else. We're scared, but she's doing what she loves and sharing it with the world in the way that only she can. And I'm so grateful. It just touches me so deeply when people do that. And it can be in any way. It doesn't have to be a physical gift like that. It can be a smile, a gesture, a phone call. It can be anything. Just acknowledging the wonderful gifts that are being offered all the time.
I think that's a good point. When I'm referencing love, I actually am referencing the creative, and this is just my interpretation, the creative, expansive, intelligent energy feeling that runs the universe. Now, what Sherry just described was that energy, especially creative energy, running through her friend Kathy, who I happen to know is a beautiful artist. So not only did she create this gift, but she creatively figured out how to get it to Sherry. She is expanding her love that way. Love is that energy that never changes. It is not attachment to the way that I think, right? But I appreciate you asking that, Sherry, so we can clear that up. So that, I think, brings us right into the next piece that we're going to talk about today, and that's inspiration. That you are I, the I is inspiration. When I think about inspiration, I think for many years I got that confused with motivation. And as a leader, a heart-centered leader, I think that the difference to me is motivation is specific for me to an action. I am washing my hands. Look, I got my little sanitizer right here. I'm being physically appropriate as far as distancing, all that sort of thing. I am motivated to do that, not only to stay healthy, but to make sure that I'm not doing anything to endanger others. Inspiration comes from, to my mind, the heart. What am I being pulled to do? What am I being pulled to share? In Kathy's case, she was being pulled and inspired to share this beautiful art with Sherry. Sherry and I were inspired to share this with you. To my mind, the true inspiration, it is not a head thing. It comes from the heart, and then your head helps you create, execute, share that. Sherry, what would you add?
Oh, that's so beautiful, Diane. That's just a standalone and fantastic, well stated. We'll add one thing. So in Reinventing Greatness, I talk about follow the love. We use this follow the love model. And it was an inspired model, like all my models, but this one was definitely inspired by the heart. And what it is, it's three sides. And it says, do what you love. And that could be like, professionally, but it doesn't need to be professionally. It could be something, a hobby or anything you love. Do what you love for those who you love to serve. So who are those people? Because we're aligning the love, right? Who greatly appreciate you. And so when you get that triangle, like do what I love, I'm doing what I love right now. I love sharing whatever I can to help other people. And so does Diane, and I love Diane. So we unite with that. And then there's all of you guys on here who I have such heartfelt connections with, most of you. And if I haven't met you yet, I hope to have that with you as well. And then who greatly appreciate. So what it happens is you're building this sense of inspiration, and you're building more power around the heart energy. And then that can transcend out, and it empowers everyone around, like we were talking about, but it also inspires others. So how many times have you seen a YouTube video or heard someone talk and felt pretty inspired by that, right? A lot of times you get that. What is that? You get inspired by their own connection to their thing. I mean, I could get inspired by people. I watched some guys working on a car the other day. I really could care less about that stuff, but I love my husband. He loves that stuff. So I watched a little video on that. These guys were so into it, and they were being all creative with how they were building something. I got so fired up just watching them because I was all inspired by what they were doing. I don't want to build a car, but their inspiration was contagious.
And it touched your heart.
Touched my heart.
Yeah, it absolutely touched your heart. So even if I have a friend and I asked her in the course of conversation, what are you feeling called to do? And she said, I know my part right now is to post a goofy or funny meme on social media every day. And they're really funny, by the way. Like they really are. That's what she's being inspired to do. So that brings us to our last area, and that is, how are we going to move forward? So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is to really, from that heart-centered place, and I would suggest and greatly encourage you to do that heart-brain coherence and ask that place in you that knows your real truth. What am I being called to do right now? Who am I being called to be? We spoke earlier about what helps you remember who you are. I would encourage you to think about what offering helps me remember who I am, because that's going to be your most authentic. I love the friends that I see on social media who there's somebody I know that runs a bed and breakfast, and she's a fantastic cook. Well, nobody's at the bed and breakfast right now. So she's created these cooking classes for parents to be able to cook simple meals at home with their kids. How cool is that? Or people who are, they're yoga teachers and all the studios are closed. So, you're in their basement somewhere and they're up the wall and you're trying to do that. Or I've got a friend who is at noon every day sharing a song because he's a musician. What is on your heart to share? To me, and this is what it was for Sherry and I, right? This is what we were being called to do. But recognizing what is your part here, because we all have a part, not only now, but always. And I know, Sherry, I'm so appreciative of the part you not only play in my life, but how we work together. That's part of the unity too. That's part of the unity too.
It is part of the unity. And, you know, even though I made you do the introduction.
Yeah, because she said it was over, by the way.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday, and she's like, well, she says, we should have a little outline or some structure for this, right? And we're going to open the line here in a second for questions and discussion. But I said, yeah. I said, you're going to do the introduction, right? She said, well, I was going to ask you to do the introduction. I said, no, you're really good at that. You need to do the introduction. So basically assigned her that. But to your point, Diane, about moving forward, I mean, really, this is a great time to reconnect to your own values. So start with you. You know, what do you really value? What are the heart connections? What is uniquely you? I see Catherine Wyckoff's up here, a good friend of mine. She's amazing. She does fabulous physical therapist, and Feldenkrais, if you've never done that, it's amazing, little tiny, if you can't even move, she can figure out how to like help you move. She does it on people, she does it on horses. Again, not an advertisement, just a total quantum entanglement, because I appreciate what she's done. And she's here and she's doing her classes online. How cool, right? We're figuring these things out. So everyone's trying to figure out their offerings. So connecting with your top values is super good. The other thing is, it's a really good time. You know, people are afraid because of stock market's kind of all over the place. They're afraid to make investments. I get that. But the thing is, really think about the investment of time and energy in your own future. So what do you want your world to look like in 6 months? Yeah, we don't know what it's going to happen or anything, but it's really important to hold a vision for yourself. Dare yourself to think, wow, you know, in 6 months, this might even be better than ever. And if it were better than ever, great exercise for the brain, what would it look like? What specifically would I want to see in that world? Because what you're doing here is you're creating a very specific picture, and you're letting your brain, the reticular activating system in your brain, then start to sleep on that in the subconscious, and it starts to weave together the threads as you move forward that will bring that future to you. I know this for sure because I've done it many, many times for myself, regardless. Well, Diane, you know, we were talking the other day. I started this business in the middle of a recession. Diane started her business. What was it? 2007, 8?
2007, right before the crash.
Right before the crash, and you know, thriving business. And I mean, my business wasn't thriving in the beginning of that year. Everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, what the hell are you doing? I'm leaving this 6-figure, beautiful, incredible job with a window office, a staff, you know, flexibility, benefits, a vacation. I'm like, wait a minute, why did I leave this? But seriously, we can transcend. So we need to dare ourselves to think out a little farther out there. Hold that vision. You don't need to be afraid that it won't come true. Just allow it to tantalize and have fun with it, and from the spirit of lightheartedness. And then you'll start to see these little threads, these synergistic kinds of things, right, Eileen? Eileen's on this phone. She's out there in Romania. Hello. We're talking about synergies. You know, this is what we're talking about. So you can draw that to you, whatever you desire. We just need to be, you know, physically mindful of being careful right now, be in a place of massive gratitude, and continue to move forward. So challenge yourself to continue on. It's that and, right? And stay protected.
Absolutely. And I think that there's no better time to realize that this is what I guess I would call a forced reinvention. So I think a lot of times you get to choose reinvention. When Sherry was talking about me starting my business, that was a great example of being pulled by the heart. It didn't make any sense at all for me to start my business then. Like, I gave up dental people. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was nuts. Not only did I give up a wonderful job, great benefits, I had 2 kids at home. It made no sense. And yet I couldn't not do it. I felt that pull from the heart. So now when we are all given the opportunity to reinvent, I'm going to really encourage you to be compassionate with yourself, with others, to use that heart to help engage that brain to visualize where we want to be. Sherry, I love the idea of the thread. We are all threads in the tapestry of this world. And if you have ever had a jacket, and it's a beautiful jacket, and one thread is gone, it's not the same. We need each of us to step up and be who we are here to be right now. Right now. So Sherry, do you think we're ready for some questions? What I think we could do is maybe, what do you think we'll do? Have people raise their hands?
Yeah, we can raise a hand, and you know, if you are on the line and have a question, hold tight. We've got a couple of people on the line, so let's go with hands first. Anybody who's here, we should probably unmute, right, Diane?
Yep, everybody can unmute, and I am looking for the little hand button. Again, what a great time to reinvent my own understanding of Zoom and how to use it. Ta-da! You guys are
awesome.
You're getting to see a real life reinvention right here.
All right, so while you're doing that, Diane, I'm just going to mention too, the great time, so in the spirit of opportunity right now, some people are more available than they ever would be. Because they're working from home and they're more accessible. That's not true for everyone, but it's a great time to deepen your connections, to also do company research if you're prospecting, doing business development of any sort, looking for a new job. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is good. Make sure your marketing materials are in good shape for your business. Refresh all of that so that you are ready when things start to turn. You know, you're ready to receive in a totally big way, because we always want to prepare. So if you look to nature, the birds are always preparing, right? Could be a huge hurricane that just destroys everything, but they are right back at it. The beavers are right back at building those dams. The birds are right out there building this nest because they're preparing. They don't just stop and freak out. They get right back on it, and we need to do the same thing.
And another thing with nature, remember, some of us are going to be in cocoons right now. This is the time to be preparing. So let's do this. Type in the chat box if you have a question, and then we can.
There's Danusha's got a question.
Danusha. How can we have a more global impact politically, being silent versus being active? Well, great question. And Danusha, this certainly affects all of us, not just someone with heart-centered work like you. Sherry, I will defer to you first, but I certainly do have some opinions on this. How would you answer, Danusha?
Hey, Danusha, that's such a big question. So again, all of it starts locally, right? So it starts with self, starts with amassing who are the people that you know right here. When we talk about a movement, you talk about political kinds of things, people always think it's out there, or they have to call someone big that seems unreachable. We use that degrees of separation, start right where you are and keep building out from there. That would be my first initial thought, although I'm not a political strategist by any means, but just in the spirit of connecting, it's amazing what you can do.
I agree. And I was actually thinking the exact same thing. I guess we will ask people to still mute and just use the chat box. I was trying to figure that out, quite frankly.
Yeah, the problem with the chat, the only thing is the folks on the line, on the phone, I don't know that they could get a chat.
Okay.
But let's see, is there anybody else who has a question or wants to make a comment? Christy, were you making a comment or no?
Danusha, okay. I did want to reiterate what Sherry said. It starts with you, and if you find where you are pulled from the heart, you're going to have an even better idea of how to show up. I look at it like almost like a archery target, right? You're in the middle, and you have concentric circles, and this is how we create impact. And just look, even in this particular challenge that we have, there are videos coming out of Italy of people going out on their balconies and clapping for medical professionals. That is bringing support, that is reverberating all over the world and bringing attention to much needed services and equipment. That wasn't anything, that was grassroots. So I agree with Sherry. Start with you, work out, be pulled by the heart is what I would say. Anybody else have a question or a comment? Maybe
or just anything that's on your mind. I mean, what are you doing to, if you don't have a question, we can open it and just say, what are you doing to cope? How are you making it through? I know we've got Nancy on the line. We've got another person on the line. Anybody on the phone who wants to chime in?
I just have a thought, if you don't mind. The way I look at this, for me, it's a tremendous gift of time. I never have time in my business to do all these things that I wanted to do, just learning Zoom, going online, putting all my pieces together. And so I think this is just, I could not imagine even 6 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks where I can decide what I do during my day and just close all the pieces, put it all together and think about the future. I mean, it's not, I would never have allowed myself to do that were it not for this situation.
What an interesting comment, Catherine. Thank you. I never would have allowed myself to do it.
Mm-mm.
I know for me, there are things that I just would never have found the time for. And that certainly we are absolutely acknowledging how difficult this is for millions of people all over the world. But to Sherry's point, where am I right now? What is my experience? What does love look like here? And for me, I always say, how does love move me forward? Catherine, that's beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else have a comment, a suggestion, anything you want to share that's helping you? We really appreciate you being here because we realize you could have been in a lot of different places.
Megan, so Megan had a reinvention. I remember back in what was it, September or so, you got shipped off to Kansas City?
Kansas City, right.
USDA. All right, so give us an update. How are things going?
Well, I bought a house, so now I'm getting to do some work on my house since I'm here all the time. And spring is a little further behind here in Kansas City than it is on the East Coast, so still waiting for the green to come around, but things are going just fine. Yeah. You know, the main thing that I'm doing to handle this current situation is getting out every day. That has really been what has been grounding me and helping me to find my peace, find my center.
Getting outside.
Yeah, getting outside and especially around trees. That's kind of a connection piece for me.
Have you all heard of the concept of forest bathing?
We're both in our community.
And if you're not talking, that would be great if you could mute, because I know it's just difficult, especially when we're on the phone. But there is, and Sherry helped me with this, there are chemical changes that occur in the brain when you are out in nature. That's why Sherry's grounding, that technique that you've seen her, she talks about how she grounds in the wetlands. But for me, it's walking in the woods. I happen to live in the woods, so it's not too hard. You can see I have trees around me. Even if I'm not in the trees, I have trees around me. I have elements of that. Actually, I have almost the exact same tin sculpture Sherry has behind her on the opposite wall here where I am. So even if you cannot get outside because perhaps you're not feeling well or you're taking care of someone, if you can have plants, flowers. One thing that I do for my grandson remotely now is there's wonderful YouTube videos of the ocean and these beautiful, serene sea turtles floating through the ocean. Danusha was on the line here. Danusha always posts beautiful pictures of her walks on the morning beach. Just anything, if you can't be in nature, your brain will actually, it will be soothed by listening to nature sounds or by visually having them around.
Yeah, and it's all really about getting super present. And it's so funny, Diana, that's the tree of life, the metal thing up there. So I like to have that up there for me. But yeah, it's really about getting present. So, you know, when you look, if any of you have animals, you know, just watch your animals for a little while. Little kids too, they're not usually affected by a lot of fear. So you can get super present with them. This is about settling that vibe and then choosing your own energy that you want to be in. Because in a second, our limbic brain default is to go to fear. And the folks really leverage that and not always, not ways that are always in the best use of our time. So we need to make sure that we see that for what that is and then choose how you want to be, because the being is really important. How you want to be in the world is more important than then what you want to do. So let the being drive the doing. And if you remember that, 'cause sometimes I get that backwards and I start getting super agenda focused and I get into the doing before I check my being, and then my being is in a screwy place and it sabotages my doing. So always make sure you check that as well.
It's one of your foundations, actually, is I teach people to have clarity words. You know, mine is I want to be compassionate, inspiring, loving. Am I being loved today? Am I being compassionate today? What helps you be what you need to be in the world? Helps keep you fully present. So we have maybe a minute left, a couple minutes left. Sherry, any last? Oh, hey, Mary Lou, do you have a question? Do you have a comment?
One of the things that I've just really embraced this time, I have a tendency to just go, go, go. And this has been a real wake-up call for me to just really sit back and self-care. I mean, even though I thought I was doing so many more ways that I could be doing self-care and, you know, trying to settle my space around me and just better organized, and it's more peace. Anyway, and just reconnecting, spending more time with my loved ones, especially my new hubby.
And that's, I think that's exactly right. It speaks to what Catherine said. If we're used to go, 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 now we're at stop, stop, stop. And sometimes we're at holy, you know what, because I am stuck with children. Not that you don't love your children, but that your routine is changed. So that's another opportunity to reinvent who you are as a family unit, a community, and how can you nurture yourself and your loved ones at the same time.
Well, it was really a forced transformation because I didn't know what a slowed down life even looked like.
You do now, boo.
So this is a blessing. Thanks, everybody. I really enjoyed this.
Well, and so I just want to add one more thing, Mary Lou. Thanks so much for your comment, and welcome, Janet. And I actually see my sister's coming on from the West Coast. Woohoo! Hey, Jess, I hear you. I see you on the West Coast. Hey, Janet. Jess. And I know we're just about to wrap up here, so you have to listen to the recording, you guys. But no big deal. Hey, Janet, great to see you. Oh, cool. Yeah. This is what I was going to say. So think about what is happening for you right now that you want to take forward into the new, right? So this doesn't necessarily just mean that we have 6 weeks or however long, and then you go back to crazy as normal. It could be that some of the really wonderful things that you've experienced right here can be taken forward into the new. So what are those things? You know, what are you building into your routine now that you can continue after this is over, has passed?
Perfect. Yeah, we are all reinventing. And I think the normal train is long gone, Sherry. It's gone. We are going to be coming out into a new normal. And I think to a lot of your points, we can be more loving, kind, productive, reinvented versions of ourselves. And if we can look at this time as opportunities and how can we come from that place of heart-centered leadership to be leaders for ourselves, our family, our communities in the world, I think that's a great way to start. Anything else, my friend?
Oh, so beautiful, you guys. You guys are all so amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so grateful, and Diane, I'm so grateful to have you in my life and to be able to do things like this with you. It's really inspiring for me. It's kind of selfish because this helps me. So thank you, guys. And we have the recording, so if you came on, wherever you came on, no problem. We had the internet gods were with us, so we do have the recording. Diane will be sending that out on the Eventbrite to everyone who's registered. And feel free to reach out, check us, whoever's on social media. Diane and I are all over there. We can chat. You can send us emails. Let us know how you're doing, and stay safe and really embrace this time to grow and enjoy as well.
Really appreciate that. I echo everything you said. I just want to say that this is, from my perspective as a spiritual coach, a heart-centered success coach, I just want you to know there is so much love, support, encouragement for all of you. We've seen it on this call. Look for it. It's there, and receive it. I truly appreciate every single one of you. My beautiful friend Sherry, we love you lots, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, you guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.